Welcome to the Life Success and Legacy Podcast. We're glad you're here, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to this next episode of the Life Success Legacy Podcast. My name is Chris Bay, and we have heard from people that they really enjoy when we do interviews with our clients. And so today I am joined by a dear, dear friend, kind of a brother from another mother, as far as I'm concerned, Clarke Tuitele. How are you, my friend Clarke?
Hey, Chris, I'm doing great. Great to be here with you.
Absolutely. I've actually done 2 interviews this week with people from Hawaii.
Nice.
I know. I'm keeping that aloha vibe going, right? Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for taking time, Clarke. I think your story is going to be fantastic for our listeners. I think as a fellow educator, you're really good at teaching, right? And telling the story. And 2, as a fellow educator, we got to squeeze every dollar as much as we can. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
So for our listeners, will you just kind of introduce yourself, your family, what life looks like for you guys out on the island?
Of course.
Thank you.
First off, Chris, again, thank you for allowing me to share my story. I think that's one thing that I enjoy doing. It's one of my passions. I am a Hawaiian boy, true and true, born and raised here in Hawaii. I grew up on the island of Oahu. And when I first met my future wife, we met in college. We were attending BYU Hawaii. Actually, prior to that, I went to school at BYU Provo up in the mainland.
Oh, you did?
I decided to transfer to Hawaii. And after serving my mission, I met my wife. Well, I guess she wasn't my wife at the time, and she was just a freshman out of high school. And so I knew, oh, she's young. And but the more I got to know her, the more something really radiated from her. Something that made me feel this could be the one. I think what it really was that she would be a great mom. She would be a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful mom. Just all of her attributes.
And you're a family guy through and through.
I am, totally.
Yeah.
And so long story short, we fast forward through time, and as we're getting a little more serious, it was my maybe my senior year in college, and we knew that we were probably going to get married. But before we got married, she turned to me, she said, hey, Clarke, just FYI, I want to have 6 kids. Actually, she may have said 7 kids. I want 7 kids. I want to live on Maui. That's where she was raised.
Yeah.
And I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And so those were her qualifications, I guess.
Yes.
Those were her non-negotiables. And I thought to myself, well, we're both studying in the School of Education. We're both going to be teachers. I don't know how we are ever going to make it work.
Yeah.
But if she's the one, I trust that our paths would lead towards that. And
You'll
eventually
figure it out.
We'll figure it out. I proposed to her, and we got married. And this past March made 27 years of being married.
Congratulations. We just celebrated 30, so we're on the same path.
There you go.
Yeah. So you're both teachers. Okay,
Yep.
so tell our audience, what do you teach? What does Leah teach?
Sure. So we both majored in elementary education.
Mm-hmm.
After my mission, I knew that I loved teaching. I knew I loved connecting with people. I think that's what it is, just understanding people and connecting with them. And I loved kids. I've always loved kids. And so I went into elementary ed. But my first job right out of college was an elementary music teacher. And so that's what I've been doing ever since. I'm an elementary music teacher. I teach at Kamehameha schools here on Maui. It's a school for Native Hawaiian children. And my wife also majored in elementary ed and special education. So she's dual certified. Yeah.
She's a special one.
She is.
Yeah.
But because we made that decision a long time ago that she would be a stay-at-home mom, after teaching just 1 year, Leah was pregnant. Actually, it was during her first year, and she was expecting. And so she was a stay-at-home mom for 17 years.
Wow.
And we eventually had 6 kids. We have 5 daughters, and our last one is a boy.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided that when our son got back to school, into kindergarten, that she would go back to teach. And of course, it never happens exactly like how you plan. And
Sure.
when our son, Mosiah, eventually got to kindergarten, she turned to me, she said, I don't think I'm ready to go back to teaching. How's about I just substitute teach? And I
Mm-hmm.
said, sure. And so she subbed for a while, and now for the last 2 or 3 years, she's back full time as a kindergarten teacher.
Mm. Wow. That's a great story. So when you guys, I'm making notes as we go because I'm learning so much. Do you, so one thing, is it different now that she's back teaching? Like, has that shifted how things are for you guys?
Oh, totally,
Yeah.
totally. We have more income, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But with more income, we also have more expenses. Our oldest three are actually adults. And so our oldest just finished college.
Mm-hmm.
She's finishing up her master's degree as we speak. And our other two are in college. So we have added expenses, but more income.
Yeah.
That's just how life evolves.
I
Uh,
want to get into like your kids and your passion for investing in them and educating them and all that. But before we do that, can you tell me if I was on the island, how would I wish someone happy birthday?
Great question. So, because I teach at a Hawaiian school, I'll give you the Hawaiian way of saying happy
And
birthday.
you're a music teacher. Can you
And
sing
I'm a
for
music.
us too?
Oh boy, now you're putting me on the spot.
And the reason I bring this up is because why, Clarke?
Because it's my birthday today. It's not just my birthday, it's actually my wife's birthday as
Yeah.
well. We share the
So
same
happy
birthday.
birthday to both you and Leah, for sure. And
Thank you.
so teach our listeners, how would we say happy birthday?
Sure. So the Hawaiian word for happy is hau'oli. And the Hawaiian word for birth is hano. And the Hawaiian word for day is la.
Hmm.
So whenever you have some kind of holiday, it's always la something, the day of something. And so for your birthday would be the day of your birth, la
Hmm.
hano. And so the appropriate way would be hau'oli la hano. That's how you say
Wow. It's beautiful.
it.
Beautiful. Hmm. Well, happy birthday to both of you. That's fantastic.
Thanks, Chris.
And I
Appreciate it.
always, I mean, ever since we first met and talked, look, we've got some storms coming through, so you may hear some thunder in the background. I've always felt like we are kind of like brothers from another mother, with both of us with our background in education and
Yeah,
learning and trying to really caring about our family and investing in our next generation and all that. What I'm a
yeah.
little bit irritated about is if we truly are brothers, how you got also the looks and the intelligence. I don't know what I got left
Gosh. Oh, you're being way too kind,
with.
Chris. Way too kind. And so for all you listeners out there, I just had the wonderful pleasure to meet Chris in person. The LSL team came to Hawaii. This was at the very end of May.
Mhm.
I flew over to Oahu, and I felt like it was a reunion.
Yeah.
We'd never met in person before. We corresponded via email. I watched every podcast. I told Chris before that.
Mhm.
I knew all about Mike Everett. I knew about his bum shoulder. I knew how much he loved to golf. I actually made plans.
You guys went and played golf
We went
together, didn't
golfing.
you?
That's right. I picked up Mike. We drove across to the other side of the island to Turtle Bay, and we played 18 holes. It was wonderful. It was great.
He's a trip to, I don't play golf, but I've been on a golf course with him before. He's a trip, isn't he?
He's wonderful. He's great.
So,
Funny as heck, and
yes.
very skilled golfer. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, so let's kind of start into the whole IBC thing. Like, where
Sure.
did you first learn about IBC? How did you learn about life success and legacy? Start to unpack that story and take us forward.
Yeah. So earlier I mentioned that my wife told me that she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I knew that it would be rough living in Hawaii. The cost of living here is so high.
Mhm.
Just everything, the groceries, gas, real estate, just living here comes at a very high cost. I knew that the only way we'd be able to do it is if we were intentional with our money.
Mhm.
We are very frugal, very.
I believe
Uh,
it.
But it was out of necessity, you know. We had to learn to sacrifice. We had to teach our kids. We never went out to eat very much. Whenever our kids would sleep over at friends' houses, um, they would say, "Hey, what are you going to order at McDonald's?" And my kid would immediately go to the dollar menu, just because that's
That's
how
what they're
we had to
used to.
operate for a small time in our life.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny. My kids would say, we slept out of at our friend's house, and they say, "Can you go to the pantry and grab the Chef Boyardee can?" And my daughter's like, "What's Chef Boyardee?" And all
Yeah.
the other kids would be like, "You've never heard of Chef Boyardee?" Oh no, my mom makes everything from scratch. My mom
Hmm.
just cooks with what we have, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, it was a great lesson for us, but also for her, how blessed
Hmm.
she is, number one, to have a mom with that kind
Yes.
of skill set. And number two, to know that we've had to learn to live within our means. And so as our lives unfolded and the more kids we had, teaching doesn't pay much. I think my very first annual salary as a teacher was $29,000 a year.
Hmm. Yeah.
But we made it work. We lived with our in-laws for a good 8 years
Hmm.
before we went out to rent.
Which that happens a lot in the islands where
Oh
there's
yeah, yeah,
multi-generations living together just to make it work.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And then we moved out just to see if we could afford. I think our rent was 1,800 a month, to see if we
Hmm.
could survive with that. And then, lo and behold, one of my students, their father was a developer here on Maui. And he
Okay.
said, "Hey, Clark, did you ever get on our list?" I said, "What list?" He goes, "We have a list. We're selling land.
Mm.
I'd love for you to get on the list." And so we did. Long story short, 3 years later, our name was pulled
Mm.
and we were able to purchase land. Now, my father-in-law is a contractor. And so my wife was able to design a house. Um, and each time she made her little draft, she gave it to her dad, and he said, "You can't afford that. It's too big. Can't afford that. It's too big." And she eventually shrunk all her dreams into her non-negotiables.
Yeah.
She wanted a 4 bedroom, 3 bathroom house so that each of our kids would share one room and that we'd have our own and we'd have 3 full baths. And then we had an ohana unit or a
Hmm.
rental.
Hmm.
Chris, that was the smartest decision we ever had. We would never be able to afford a home, a brand new home in Hawaii, had it not been for that little ohana unit, that rental,
Yeah.
which subsidized our mortgage payment and cut
Hmm.
it in half.
Yeah.
And that was how we were able to survive in Hawaii off of a single income. We were blessed and we continue to be blessed. Now, about 5 years ago, this is I take that back. Maybe 7 years ago, I had heard of infinite banking. It had come across my way. I looked into it very briefly, but I didn't take action. I didn't do
Mhm.
anything about it. I didn't feel at that time we were ready for that. Instead, I had the wrong mindset. I was focusing on how can I grow my money
Mhm.
quickly?
Yeah.
How can I invest my money so I can get more back? Um, I was focused on my 401k. I was focused on my stock portfolio. We ended up buying another home
Mhm.
in the Midwest because we couldn't afford another home here, but I wanted to put my money to work.
Yeah.
What's the best deal I can get with what little we have? And I put all my money into my investments. And now I wish I didn't. I wish I still did. And we'll talk more about that later. But when COVID hit, Chris,
Mm.
my younger brother, decided to take action with an IBC policy. And so that's both of us were a part of TARDIS,
Mm.
this program.
Yeah.
It's what eventually led me to Pay and Mike Kwong
Mhm.
and LSL.
Yeah.
And so once I started learning more about IBC, because my brother started a policy with somewhere else, with a different company, I started reading more. I started watching YouTube videos. I got my book. I started reading
Yeah.
my book.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of a transformation.
Was it, I'm curious in the beginning, because IBC for some people is hard to wrap their heads around because we've been taught differently. I'm curious for you, did it just click for you right away, or did it take some time to wrap your head around it?
It took a little time. I be,
Hmm.
in the principles. I just wanted to understand it to a point where not only did I believe it, but I could teach somebody else.
Yeah.
Because in order to really be to truly be an effective teacher, you have to live it. You have to know it. You can't just teach about something. That something has to be part of you. I
Yeah.
think to me, the best teachers are giving little bits of themselves to their students and they're planting it in their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And the best teachers are receiving little bits of every student and
Mm-hmm.
they are transforming themselves. You know, you've been
Oh
in,
yeah, that energy flows, doesn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
And which makes me think of the boot camp that we did in Hawaii and Oahu. The energy level, the vibrations in that room were different than any boot camp we've ever done.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
energy level was very different. It
You
was
could feel
it
it.
was it was amazing. I mean,
Totally.
we were 10 minutes into the boot camp and half the room was already in tears,
Right, right. Yeah,
including myself.
yeah. It was beautiful. It's that spirit, it's that energy, it's that connection. Again, just
Hmm.
going back to that word that I said. And so for IBC for me, and you know, as I was watching all of your videos, it's something that Nelson said, something that Mike Everett always preached. It has to be caught and not taught.
Which
And
for a teacher I always find frustrating because
right,
I think I can teach it well enough that anybody can get it. But
yeah.
that isn't the case.
Yeah, yeah. And so I caught it and I caught it bad. I caught that bug bad. I realized that it was an endless rabbit hole with great information depending on the source.
Hmm.
And so the more I read and learned and watched LSL, the more I thought these guys have something special and I wanna learn from them.
Hmm. That's fantastic. Thank you for the kind words, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
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 appreciate that. Um, so you came from doing kind of the investment income snowball concept first.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
And
did.
then oftentimes those people hear or find out that they can use so they're doing their flips and all that, but they're
Mhm.
typically using like a line of credit in one way or
Yeah,
another, right?
correct.
And then they learn that, oh, maybe I can use an IBC policy and actually control that and have autonomy with that. Were you using a line of credit for your income snowball to begin with?
We were using a HELOC.
Okay.
Um, but again, I wish, like many of us, I had learned about IBC a long time ago and implemented everything because truly at the heart of IBC, it's about controlling your own money in your
Mhm.
own system that you create.
Yeah.
And so
It's
I'm just grateful now that I know and continue to learn and apply.
mhm.
Um, actually, I want to backtrack just a bit.
Okay.
When I shared the concept with my wife looked at me in one of our late night talks and she goes, again, Clarke, another big I'm saying, no, 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 you've got to hear me out. You've got to hear me out. There's these guys, Mike Everett, Chris Bay, they're called Life Success Legacy. They're teaching about this concept. And it wasn't until I told her, well, you know, my brother Chris started a policy for him and his wife. And she goes, wait, wait, wait. Chris started it?
Mhm.
Okay, let's look into it.
So she likes your brother.
She does. She does. Uh, But you know, Chris, I learned something a long time ago. My wife has this shelf. We have this shelf in our office, and we have all kinds of books. And this one book was an Oprah book.
Hmm.
And within this Oprah book, I was just thumbing through these articles, and I came across something called this 10-10-10 framework. Have you ever heard of it?
I think it sounds familiar to me. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't Oprah that invented it. It was someone called Susie Welch.
Hmm.
And for Susie, she was sharing that she had this framework that she used to make decisions in her life.
Mm.
We use this before deciding to go with IBC. And so I'm going to share it with you.
Yeah.
Basically, what it is in a nutshell is whenever you come up with trying to decide on a solution that won't please everybody, she
Hmm.
goes to this simple framework and she asks herself, what are the consequences of this decision in 10 minutes?
Hmm.
She paused and she said, and then what are the consequences on this decision in 10 months? And finally, what are the consequences of this decision in 10 years?
Love it.
And that was a game changer for me. 10-10-10. So when we go throughout life, whenever we hit these crossroads, I call it these defining moments.
Mm-hmm.
I use this 10-10-10. It could be, do I need to relocate and move somewhere else? Am I at a crossroads in my career? Am I going to be a teacher? Do I venture into the admin role?
Right.
And it could even be with small things, I'm trying to teach my kids these frameworks so that when they decide what my career path will be, who am I going to marry, where am I going to live, all these big rocks in their life, they can ask themselves those same questions. And to me, it's the same thing that Nelson preaches in his principles in the book.
Yeah.
Principle number one, think long term, think long range.
Well, he even says, live like you're going to die tomorrow, but plan like you're going to live forever. That's kind of
Exactly.
that 10-10-10 right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I
Mm,
think too often we only think of short-term ramifications. We only
mhm.
think, okay, what's going to happen tomorrow, maybe a few weeks, a few months later, or later this year, and we fail to see the bigger picture.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I think I know the answer to this, but when we talk about the four things that IBC does,
Yeah.
eliminating outside debt, building your warehouse of wealth,
Mhm.
passive income, and then long-term, legacy, the
Yeah.
tax-free wealth transfer. Which of those would you say for today has become most important for you?
Without a doubt, it's legacy.
Yes.
Without a doubt, without a doubt.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about that because I know
Okay.
that is close to your heart, especially with your kids,
Yeah.
6 kids, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're now starting out on their own and all that. So talk about what are the things that you've done intentionally, you
Mhm.
and Leah, to focus on that legacy.
Yep.
Educate.
Great question. Great question. As I mentioned before, because we were so frugal and because we lived within our means our entire marriage, eliminating debt was not a big rock for us.
Hmm.
We didn't really have much debt besides our home. That's
Yeah.
it. That's the only thing. But the older our kids got, and as they started to one by one leave the nest, we thought, hey, are we doing all we can or have we done all we could to teach them the right principles so that when they go out into that big wide world, they have the tools to say, hey, I know what to do. And
Hmm.
I think for the most part, we did pretty good. But there are certain areas of life that we didn't teach them. And one of them was finances.
Hmm.
So in our family, we get together every single week intentionally. We call
Hmm.
it family home evening. And we have a time where we teach lessons. We have gospel principles that we teach our children, and we talk about life.
Yeah.
And one family meeting, this must have been 2 years ago, we decided finally to put our bank account on the big screen TV.
Wow.
And we showed them everything.
Yeah.
How much I made as a teacher, how much Leah makes as a teacher, how much our electric bill was, our water bill, our
Hmm.
mortgage, all these payments. And let me tell you, it was an eye opener for my kids. Their
I
jaw
bet.
dropped. I can't believe our mortgage is that much. I
Hmm.
can't believe we spend that much money on so and so. Electric bill is that much. No wonder you're telling us to turn off our light. We spent, we spent 45 minutes to an hour and they asked us all kinds of questions. It was like rapid fire.
Hmm.
And at the end of this whole evening, all my kids said the same thing. That was the best family home evening we've ever had. I think that sense of transparency gave them a sense of, hey, we're older, we're more responsible, and you trust us now
Yeah.
to know everything and anything about our finances. And so, in really, my my wife and I typically teach summer school, and our kids stay home. And my wife puts together a curriculum for them.
Hmm.
Everything that we feel school didn't cover during the regular school year, that's what they do. And so
Yeah.
it could be typing. Our school doesn't teach typing anymore. So this summer, all three of my younger kids are in typingclub.com. Luckily, it's gamified. It's great,
Yeah.
engaging. Um, we feel that they don't know much about world geography. And
Hmm.
so we have games with maps of the earth. We will finance class that we teach them.
Yeah.
So for the first time, I know I mentioned this to you before, Chris, but thank you very much. I got this idea from you. If our kids are able to do everything each day for the week, including their scripture study, including their typing and their geography homework, and their financing, we actually pay them now.
Yeah.
And we pay them every week. And the goal is by the end of our 8-week summer, they have this chunk of money and they use this money and implement the principles that we are teaching them. Principles of tithing, principles of budgeting, principles of living within your means, and later, principles of storing your warehouse of wealth in the environment that gives you the most benefits that nothing else will, and that would be IBC. And so this summer, here it is right here. These are the books that my kids are reading.
Yes.
Poor Dad for Teens,
Yes.
the super duper simple book
I've heard of
of
that one.
money by Alan Aquino. He's my good friend.
Yes.
And some book by Chris Bay, Family Banking with Purpose.
You and Leah are so intentional and have been with your kids.
Mhm.
I'm inspired by how intentional you guys have been. I think that is oftentimes how teachers want to be, right?
Yeah.
Is they want to make a difference, not only in other people's kids, but their own kids. So your oldest ones are now in their 20s?
Yep. So my oldest turns 25 this year. After that, we have a 22-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
a 19-year-old, just
Yeah.
their first year of college. Yeah.
So are you seeing, because I have a 26 and almost 24-year-old, so we're right there with you.
Yeah.
Are you seeing a difference in them and like a curiosity and like all of a sudden they're turning back and saying, "Hey, I've got questions."
For sure.
Yeah.
100%. Chris, we were extremely blessed to have wonderful kids,
Mm-hmm.
bright, articulate. And we told each of them, he said, because we have so many of you and so many of you going to college at the same time, mom and dad are able to help you guys out your first year.
Yeah.
And we want to put the responsibility on you to fund your college education, be it scholarships, jobs, whatever you are. And we're so blessed to have kids that have that.
A consultation this earlier today with a woman, and her husband has not had skin in the game up to this point. And I said, if you're going to go down this road together, trust me, it's worth encouraging him to have some skin in the game. Otherwise, it will create some conflict down the road.
Yeah.
It's been my experience. And with kids, when they have skin in the game, whether it's for their own education or whatever, it's so much more valuable, has been my experience.
For sure. Now, Chris,
Yeah.
I know you know a little bit background. My daughter, who was interested, tried to take out a policy, and
Mhm.
she was unable to. But she recently took out a policy on her mom.
Yeah.
And that's just the blessing, a way to a workaround. And so for those of you listening, maybe it's yourself or maybe it's your child. If you are deemed for whatever reason uninsurable currently at the time,
Right.
there are other possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's where, don't give up hope.
Yeah.
Right. If you just don't make an assumption that it can't work for you, it costs you nothing, to meet with a coach. And we've done some pretty creative things over the years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. For sure.
So things that maybe we haven't thought of or tried or whatever. So do
Oh,
you,
Chris,
yeah.
before I forget, one more thing.
Okay.
I forgot about this, and I want to mention this. As we were thinking about this curriculum for my kids,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, wouldn't it be great for my kids to be able to talk to Robert Kiyosaki,
Mm.
to have a conversation? Now, I don't know Robert. He doesn't know me.
Right.
But as an educator, I recently went to a tech conference and I came across this platform that allows you to create chatbots,
Mm.
to recreate it as if you're having a conversation with that person. So
Mm-hmm.
for educators, if you're reading a book, you can create a chatbot of that character. if your kids are interested in basketball, you can create a chatbot of LeBron James or
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark for girls.
Yeah.
Or if you're studying astronauts, you can create a chatbot of an astronaut. So I went ahead and I made a Robert Kiyosaki chatbot so that my kids could have a conversation with Robert himself. And then I went ahead and I made a Nelson Nash chat.
Yes. Yes.
So that I went ahead and I tested. It's not 100% perfect. You
Mhm.
can upload PDFs. Of course, AI takes over and
Yeah.
they know all about his background and his history. I put a picture of the great Nelson Nash up there, and I was having a great conversation with
Hmm.
Nelson. And if you guys want to try it, I'd be happy to share the link for that. But you can,
I would love to. That would be fantastic if you're willing to share.
sure.
And we just learned at the last Nelson Nash Institute think tank that some of our IBC practitioners in Canada were working on an AI
It's,
Ask Nelson Nash,
yeah.
where it pulls all the conversations and all the wisdom and knowledge from Nelson, and just a great use of AI.
Yep, for
You know,
sure.
you hear the scary parts about AI, but when you're using a tool for good, it's really
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's very cool and creative. I love that. So with IBC, bring us up to date now. Where are you with your system and your plan, and how have you guys used it?
Sure. Great question. I'm still in the baby stages of my plan. I think in a few months, I'll be renewing for my third time. And so
Hmm.
we're still in the capitalization phase for us. Um, but we love it. We look forward to those premium deposits. I no longer look
Hmm.
at it as a as a payment, but as a deposit. It's
Yeah,
something that I want to. In fact, Chris, I'm trying to figure out how I can put as much as possible without straining ourselves
sure,
financially. Yeah.
sure.
And so
Yeah.
that's where we are with that. We're looking to get our system of policies rolling and to get
Hmm.
more for each of our children. And so right now within our family, we have three policies, but we're looking to add at least one more for each of our kids to make it eight.
Hmm.
Not big, humongous policies,
No,
but small policies
just getting started.
that we can control. Yeah.
My 26-year-old is currently flying back from Boston as we're speaking, and this is a kid that we started the policy for Lily back in 2011, and it wasn't big, it was a small policy, and we just faithfully plugged money into it. There was a time when we borrowed against the policy because we were really struggling. We
Yeah.
borrowed against it, but we made sure we paid it all back. And
Yeah.
then in her early mid 20s, we signed over ownership to her.
Awesome.
And part of that is, like we've talked about before, she came to a boot camp. She helped me study for my Nelson Nash Institute practitioner's license. I had flashcards and I had her test me. So I'm getting her to learn it
That's smart.
alongside
She
me.
learns,
That's
right?
right. That's right. So she had demonstrated interest and knowledge and a willingness to learn about how IBC works. So we signed over ownership to her. So she just took her best friend for her best friend's birthday to Boston for a concert
Hmm.
and back, paid for, the hotel, the whole thing, put it all on her credit card, and now is taking a loan from her policy to pay off the credit card. So she's getting miles, points and miles. Yeah. I'm like, well, that's how a 26-year-old uses their policy. They go to a concert in Boston.
Right, right. Right, right. Hey, Chris, just I think it was 2 nights ago, 3 nights ago, I had a great conversation with my 19-year-old.
Hmm.
And we were talking. She came up to me, she said, Dad, I want to start investing. What stock should I buy?
Yeah.
What do you think? Tesla, Google, Microsoft, Apple? What are you thinking? I said, that is a great question. But if I were you, I wouldn't invest. At least not right now. I think you're
Hmm.
asking the wrong question. And then I walked away. And she came and she was,
And
whoa,
then I
wait,
walked
wait, wait, whoa, whoa,
away.
whoa, whoa. What do you mean you're asking me? I'm asking you the wrong question. Well, I believe that investing is great, but that shouldn't be the first part of your sequence or your structure on how we control money. And we just started having this conversation. Eventually, it led to storage and saving and how everything should flow through savings and not the other way around. And we talked about IBC, we talked about life insurance, and she came up to me the very next morning. She goes, "Hey, Dad, it just makes sense. Why doesn't everybody do this?" I'm like, "Oh my
Right.
goodness, wow. My kid is growing up. I can't believe it."
It's so rewarding, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, as the saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
I love how you just walked away. I don't think you're asking the right question. And then just turn around and walk away. Done like a teacher. So, well, Clarke, are there any other specific things that you really want to share with our listeners before we start to tie a bow on this?
Uh, I'd love to share one quick story. I think it'll kind of tie everything together.
Please.
After I learned about IBC, after my wife and I made that commitment, we went through this whole 10-10-10 framework of what is it going to look like in 10 minutes, then 10 months, and then 10 years. And we realized the value that in 10 years and beyond, it would be the foundation to everything that
Mhm.
we would be doing as a family. We realized that yes, we want our kids to leave us and be independent, but financially, we wanted them to be interdependent with us.
Mm,
Within our family banking system, we can control and we can keep the flow of money permanently with us instead of having it transferred away from us and outside of us. Um, and like many listeners, I just wish that I knew about it sooner. And so I'm going to share this one parable, I guess you could say, since we have your book over here, which is a short parable.
yeah.
One day, I took my kids surfing. My little boy Mosiah loves to surf, and we took him surfing at this part of Maui called Oluwalu. We didn't have much time. I think we only had an hour at most, and so we jumped in the water. Some of us stayed on shore, but Mosiah and I immediately went into the water. Now, if you know anything about surfing, especially surfing Hawaii, you never drop in on people. Okay, you don't drop in. That's rude, and that people will start to fight with you and say the not the nicest words to you if you drop in on them.
Yeah.
And so, what you want to be is you want to jockey position so that you're the first one on the wave.
Mm, mhm,
And so, typically, the person who's out the furthest has the first chance to catch the wave. Now, depending on what kind of board you have, if you have a short board, it might take a longer time for you to get momentum. But if you have a long board, you can paddle way out and start to gain momentum as you're trying to catch the wave, and then people just won't question you. They won't drop in. And so I knew I had a very limited time, 45 minutes or so. I got in the water and I thought, I'm going straight to the as furthest out as I can. I'm going to wait for the biggest wave possible. And so I did. Now, my son had other thoughts. He wanted to stay on the inside and to catch as many waves as he could. He
mhm,
didn't care if they were the small, mushy waves or if they were the medium-sized ones. And there I was, out towards the horizon, waiting for the biggest wave. Any medium-sized wave, I just let it pass by, pass
mhm.
by, pass by. Anyway, I sat there for 40 minutes, Chris.
Oh,
And it
wow.
just so happened that the big wave never came.
Mm,
And I kept looking on the inside and I saw my son catching wave after wave, having a grand old time, wave after wave. I finally decided it was time for us to go. I had to paddle on the inside and I caught one wave in our whole surf session.
mm,
Why do I share that? Simply because I think if any of you are like me that are just waiting for the perfect time to start IBC, you're just
mm.
waiting until I have enough money, waiting until
I've paid off my debt. I
I
get that
get off.
all the time. Yeah. Please don't wait.
Don't wait. The perfect wave will just never arrive.
Mhm.
You need to be like my son. You just need to get started and just, even if it's something small, get started. Take action. The best education is one that leads to action and not just knowledge.
Yeah.
You can't wait for the perfect conditions. It'll never always be glassy. It'll never always be at the perfect height. You just have to go surf. Just catch your wave. And
Yeah.
that's it.
As Mike Everett always say, base hits win the game.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Just get base hits. When you were talking about, by the way, that is a fantastic analogy and a great story to share. And I would love to see your son out there. I have actually tried to surf in Hawaii, and I'm just going to say it didn't go well. It did not go well. And I used to be an athlete. You know, there was a time when I was pretty athletic, but I think
Chris,
it's
I
a
just
different.
met you. I saw you. You are slim and trim, and you look like you're in the best shape of your life. What do you mean you used to be an athlete?
So when you're talking about like your family system and how you can control all that, it reminds me of a story we used to share during the boot camp about an area outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, back in history. It was called Black Wall Street. Are you familiar with that story?
I'm not. Please share.
Yeah, so it was a time during segregation, of course, and there was a community of African Americans who lived outside of Tulsa. And what they figured out is the more times that the dollar cycled within their community, the more profitable it was for everybody. So they had successful lawyers, business people, doctors, all because those dollars were just simply cycling. In other words, what it is buy local.
Right.
Well, what is the most local you can buy?
Your own family.
Within your family. So if you can create a family where those dollars are simply cycling within your own system, you're buying local at an extreme level, and it's going to benefit your family for generations. And you're doing that.
We're trying. We're trying. We're
We're
still in the
trying.
early stages, but we will definitely get there. And we are trying to think long term. Just like how Nelson was a Forster and thought generationally, I'm not just thinking about my kids. I'm thinking about my yet to be born grandkids and then my great grandkids, because they should be the ones that will be the true beneficiaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clarke, this has been so fun. I could go on and on with you, brother. This is fantastic. I just want to say thank you so much, Mahalo, for sharing your story, for sharing your family, for coming to the boot camp where we got to actually see each other and be together and hug. It's really a gift. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I love your team. I love your podcast, and I love sharing my story. So thank you for allowing me to do that today.
Our pleasure. Absolutely. To our listeners, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed Clarke's story about their family and their passion and how they're using their IBC system. We encourage you to check out all of our learning opportunities at lifesuccesslegacy.com. We have a variety of learning styles. If you're a reader, if podcast, obviously, if you're a listener, we have books that are audibles, all kinds of, we have a learning kit, etc. You can just reach out to us or contact us as well if you just want to talk to a coach. So Clarke, thank you again for joining us. To our listeners, come join us next time on our Life Success Legacy podcast. Thank you.
Thanks. Aloha.